Hey everybody, Scroft here. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be going over everything from Farmcon 24 and everything to do with Farming Simulator 25. Now, this video is going to be perfect for anyone that missed Farmcon and wasn't there in person. I'm hopefully going to just try and break it down into all one video. So stick around and we'll be going over the presentations, all the information I got. I'll give you my opinion on them as we go through it. But I'm very lucky because I've actually got the slideshows that was presented at Farmcon. So there's 3 that came out on the day 1. Day 2 was all about the modding side. I actually didn't get any of that stuff because I was sent around on a factory tour at the exact same time, so I didn't even see it myself, unfortunately. So hopefully there was some good stuff about that. Not too certain, but we're going to go over the stuff that's for the player. So that's to do with the engine, the map, and some gameplay features. So let's get started. First presentation that we're going to look at here is to do with the Giant Engine 10. So all the physics and everything that's been upgraded. So this is just a bit of a rundown now of the Giants Engine 10. Improved fog, we've all seen about that. Dynamic shadows, we've got a bit more information on that. It's actually really impressive and something that's going to make a big difference, but we'll go into that in a second. Weather effects, vehicles, terrain, various things basically in performance. So let's go to this slide, and this is about the improved fog. Now, I'm not going to go into much detail about this, but it was presented at Farmcon by Stefan Geiger. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He is the co-founder, which I learned, which was really impressive. So hats off to him and the team behind what they've done. They have made a big improvement. We can see from the visual effects here that it is pretty impressive. Now, if I click the next slide, you can see the video starts playing, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about the fog because, yeah, we've all seen it. I know a lot of people have been coming out with Fog Simulator and all this stuff, but I just think that's a bit silly just because they have improved the game. My personal opinion is Farmcon24 kind of shut down a lot of them haters because it is a cracking game and they've done some great stuff to it. They really have. Now, the one thing I will add about the fog is when the 3 presentations were given, each time the member of Giants Software who gave the presentation came up to the content creator area and for the English-speaking content creators, just kind of translated, did a few questions. If you want to see that actually firsthand, recommend going to DJ Goham's channel. He released the videos in full, 3 videos, but there was some random questions that were kind of just put to the team there, and we got some cracking answers really, and I was very lucky to get that. So one of the questions was asked in there was, I think it was by the Farmcon guy, so a really good question by him was, is it something that we can handle? Like basically, can we control it in any way? Can we turn it off and on? You know, how... and I thought that was a good question because I've already questioned from the pre-show, you know, is it too much? But what we got back, the answer was we can't really control it. It is determined by the game itself, but also it is something that's kind of gauged on how much performance you've got. So the system you kind of run into, as you can imagine, the better system, the better it's going to look, and more of it. And the poor, you know, the not so much on if you're on the other end, the end of the spectrum with the potato end, let's call it for the PC players. If you've got a potato, basically, you'll probably be having some kind of really, potato style fog. So that's one of the answers we got. But we also got the answer that it isn't something that you kind of turn off or tone down in anything. You know, you can't kind of control it in any way. But he did confirm that it's not just there permanently. It is at the right time of day. So what I'm expecting from that is, you know, mornings, evenings, around water, things like that. So that was really good to get some information on that. But we don't want to go too much into improved fog because, again, we've seen a lot of it. I'm giving a thumbs up for it. I think it looks good. It's going to change the game in that way. But you can see here, it says non-uniform density, dynamic accumulation in valleys and waters. So again, that's reiterating what I've just said about it being at the right time, right places, and changing with weather and time of day. So obviously with seasons, you'll probably see it at different times and different, you know, kind of like the season that you're in, the month you're in of the year. So that's good to see. So this is, again, just some more improved fog visuals. We've seen that from Farmcon 1, so we'll move on from that. Improved fog. I'll play the video at the same time. We have got volumetric lighting with sun shadows. Cracking this is. We've got the God rays looking really good coming through the trees especially. It is a bonus. Now, I mean, we've gone over this already in the pre-show, so again, we'll just be brief here as much as we can. But one thing I am going to say I really like about this is, imagine this. You're farming in the game on your own, chilling out, right? Early morning, you're doing some baling. You can see them God rays kind of piercing through the trees. It's going to look good. It's going to feel good. It's more immersive. So it's a big plus for me. So here we got some more information on like the improved fog and the lighting and everything, but let's just go through this. You've seen this video from the preview as well, but it says volumetric lighting for local lights. That's like, you know, kind of lights that are up there, maybe, you know, lights on the tractor as you're seeing now, vehicle street lamps, etc. So it's volumetric lighting for that, so it can kind of hit the atmosphere, you could say, so the fog itself, which again is a really good thing. I'm, you know, big plus for this. This is an extra scene now. We didn't see this in the pre-show, but I'm just trying to get all this information out to you because I feel like if you weren't at Farmcon, there's been snippets everywhere, and we've obviously had the pre-show information. There's a lot of videos out there, just little, like, a lot of people are just doing, you know, like 5-minute videos here and there about each subject. I just wanted to do a whole video that if you watch from start to finish, you'll pretty much get the gist of everything. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have learned everything I learned at Farmcon and you're up to scratch. So let's go into dynamic shadows then, cloud shadows. Now shadows, I actually think that they've improved the shadows a lot and it is going to make a massive difference, but they've not kind of played that card as much as they should have, in my opinion, because from what I saw at Farmcon, it looks really good and the things they've done are subtle, but when added with everything else and including the shadows, you know, all the different things they're doing with shadowing, it's going to be amazing. It really is. We've got the cloud shadows. We've seen a bit of this video at the pre-show again. It's fully dynamic based on actual clouds. And the sky, one thing I was crying out for, the sky has been improved, and that's including nighttime. It's stunning. Actually, the stars and everything look cracking. We'll have a look at that in a second, but you can see the clouds now going across the field and the dynamic shadows kind of performing as they should with the clouds that are above them coming down from the sun. You see, this is a few new shots here. One thing I will say is the map. I actually think it could be one of the best maps Giants have made because it's so much. It seems to be so much detail to it. It does feel a bit maybe barren, you could say, at times because of some of the construction missions they've got going on. And, you know, there's not like things going on in the background. It's like traffic. I would have loved to have seen a bit of, you know, maybe some harvesters kind of working, just kind of some kind of feel of it's alive in some way. But to be honest, I can take that. I can take that because of the fact that it's so detailed and they've added a lot of good stuff to it. But I actually really like it. It's one of the maps that I'm really looking forward to playing on. So if the Asian map tanks, this map for me, it will be my go-to. Because Zelonka, we've all seen that. But I'm really excited for this. I really am. So this is now shadows. Really important to kind of focus on the shadowing because it just looks so much better. So if you look at this video, this here on the right, look at the difference between the shadowing there and that. The improvement they've made straight away. So we've got soft shadows. The further away from the blocker, so you could say this post, for example, the blurrier the kind of shadow will be, which is very natural. If you look at an object outside, the shadow right by what's being blocked, you know, the sunlight, the shadow is cast, the thing that's casting the shadow, basically, the object, it's very clear, very precise. You can see the lines, but as it goes further away, it gets more blurry and kind of distorted, and that's now going to be in the game. So I like that a lot. I think they're the small details that add up. But I just also look at this and think, how better does that look? It looks insanely better. It really does. So yeah, with overcast sky, shadows become softer. So yeah, you can obviously this will still look this because obviously overcast shadows, that is. So what they're trying to say, but you can still see that here, like that. That's when the sun's out. That's summertime. There's not many clouds in the sky. You can see it's very clear them shadows are. But look, when the overcast is there and it's kind of distorting that you know, sunlight coming through, it's not as precise. We're going to get kind of a blurry shadowing, yeah. So yeah, big thumbs up to Giants on that one. So we've got some more information about shadows here. Dynamic shadows, screen space shadows, fix regular shadow artifacts, and add shadows to non-shadow casting objects. So I don't know if you can just see this, but the shadows change there slightly. I don't know if you can just see that. I'm trying to skip between the two slides, and you can see there's even shadows being cast off these kind of little posts off this fence. So yeah, they're small details that, you know, they're not wowing things. You know, they're not moments that wow you, but they do add up, and it's all making the game better. So I'm very happy with this. So this is a really cool one. It's shadows for vehicles, but we've also got merged shadows. So you can see that there's two tractors there with the lights on, both shining lights at each other, and it's creating this kind of merged shadow effect where, yeah, there's just shadows in all angles because there's so many lights happening and going on. So that'd be really interesting to see at night in game. But also I want to shout out the nighttime, because the nighttime for me looks so much better. It really does. Now this one, oh God, when I saw this, I was like, this is exactly what we've been after. It could be, the start of something amazing going into future games and everything like that. But mud. Now, I don't mean mud as in like mud on the ground and stuff like that. I mean accumulation of mud on tyres. Now, this isn't the same as dirt. This is a whole different thing. You can see from this one, this is like a clean tyre. Then we've got dirt on the tyre, but let's say we've been into the field and the ground's wet. The tyre starts to accumulate mud. Now, we asked the question to Stefan Geiger when he was in the community kind of room, and we were saying, is it an animation? Does it kind of animate on? Does it kind of animate off? And it does. So you'll see animations of it building up, but also of it flinging off. How cool is that? And you can see from the fourth tyre picture here, you can see it's completely full. Now, also, it's not just mud. We asked the question if it's snow and other things like that. I think the question was asked, is it like gravel and things like that? But I think the only thing we got confirmed, he never actually answered it to say that it wasn't gravel, would be stuck into the tyres and stuff like that. But he did confirm that it's definitely snow. And it's a bit different for snow, but it's still going to accumulate on snow and kind of fly off, and the animation of it kind of dispersing. Say if you've just come out the field or come out of a snowy area and you're then just driving onto a tarmac, maybe it's been treated, so it's a road that's been snow plowed or whatever, and it's been cleared off the snow, but you've just come off another track that's got snow on. You've accumulated that snow on your tyre, then you go onto this road and you start seeing all this kind of snow just kind of spurting off, and the tyre accumulation that's been built up disperses and disappears. I think that's superb, and looking at this tyre picture especially can confirm with visually to everyone that looks really good. So unlike dirt, reduced when driving. So yeah, to get rid of dirt, you can't reduce it when you're driving, but you can wash it with a jet wash. So, but unlike this, when you're driving, like I just mentioned, it animates and disappears. So the next one is super exciting. I love this one, I do. I think it's overdue as well. So finally Giants have added this in, but it's basically effects, or weather effects, rain effects. And look at that straight away. Can you see the tyres and how they've kind of got shiny, like a gloss to them now? They're also darker in colour because of the fact they're wet. You can even see, it says there's rain effects on vehicles. So you can see, if you quite look up on here, you can see a few little splatters of rain on that window, splatters of rain on this kind of mudguard here to the side. And again, on the tyres, it just looks better overall. But we've got water droplets on the machine, so basically on equipment, and tyre colour darkens when wet. Now, we've also got improved rain visuals, which you can see here. So even when it's raining now, it's going to feel so much more immersed. It's going to be, because nowadays when it rains, it's pretty much just a burden. If anything, we don't get anything from it, but we're going to see it visually now. We're going to see the tarmac on the roads getting wetter. We're going to see these kind of droplets hitting the ground, rain splashes, basically wet look, so darker colours, more reflective. And I think overall that, yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. But look at the interaction now, the physics of water. So maybe, who knows, there might be accumulations in certain areas where rainwater builds up, like maybe on Giants map, especially where it's been set up and designed like that. And it could potentially mean that modders might be able to do this in the future on their maps that they make for FS25. But imagine a puddle. It's been raining heavy. Puddle accumulates in like a bit of a deficit on a road somewhere, and you're driving through it. And these are the effects you see when you drive through. Now, I aren't seeing any splashes though. So as much as I'm watching this now and I can see the tyres getting wet and you can see the shine on them, I'm not seeing splashes of water. So it would be cool if we could drive through and see a splash. There's a few little things coming up on the back of the tyres there, you can see, but yeah, it depends. I wish you could speed up or come out of this kind of area. You can see this is basically going to be a flooded, it's basically a flooded field for the rice. The rice. So it'd be nice if I could see him drive in and out and see if it splashes a little bit, because I'd love to see that. But you can see the effects on the tyres straight away, that kind of wet mud look. So not only has it got that dirt on, but it also looks wet and muddy. It's a big improvement, and I think it'll matter a lot whilst we're kind of, going through, and if rainwater can accumulate and stuff like that. So this is just basically saying how they've done some improvements in the game, physically based calibrations with colours and everything. You can see this guy here has gone out to, looks like Bergman trailers, taking a picture of the colour just to try and match it completely. And you can see this, some of the G work there. Don't know if you're too interested in that, but basically a nutshell of that is it should be more precise, better. And there's a reason they're doing that, because they've actually done something that's super cool, which is this. So this is clear coat layer. Now, if you're into painting, you got your own cars, or you're doing repairs or anything like that, you'll know about the clear coat on vehicles. So best way to describe it is you've got the body the bodywork, then you put a primer on, then you put a base coat, which is the color. So, you know, Ferrari red, for example, would be that. But then you put a clear coat on, and that's the shine that goes on top of it, and it's kind of protective coat. So the clear coat now will scratch. We can see, like it says, clear coat scratch. You can also see that paint scratches go all the way to the base coat, but then we can have deep paint scratches that go to the primer. Now, I don't know if this is something we can physically do ourselves. Like, I don't know if it's like if you hit a trailer by accident or something, and if it was a heavy shunt, we might be able to scratch to the primer level. Or I don't know if it's just natural wear, you know, like we've got an FS22 now. So maybe, you know, it's probably more likely that, to be honest, because you'd have to have a whole physics things for impact and stuff like that. So I'm going to just guess that, like, the more wear it's got, the more chance you've got of seeing deep paint scratches, then paint scratches, and then clear coat scratches, and you can see that dirt and snow kind of sticks to the clear coat layer. So yeah, but the best way to think of it is now broken down into 4 layers, and we've added in the clear coat layer. That's the way I'm seeing this. So they've added in the clear coat layer, but they're also going to kind of animate these scratches all the way down to the primer. That's what I'm hoping for from this slideshow. And you can see now, if we have a look, I'll click between the two straight away. I don't know if you saw that, but right now we're seeing that clear coat and the shine, and obviously that really nice reflection as well. We can see the tree reflecting off the top of that fence 720. But if we go back, you can see the clear coat's gone, and now the clear coat's there as well. So I'm really expecting some good stuff with the visuals because of the paintwork now. And then this is to start off the kind of soil deformation that everyone's wanted to see. I'm very, very impressed with it. Personally, I think it's a great step and a starting point. I know a lot of people wanted mud and digging in the ground, but this is not Mud Runner. It's farming simulator, weather physics. You know, we could have dynamic weather effects on the ground, everything like that. I fully agree with that. But to be honest, I don't really want to be digging holes in Farming Simulator as well. I do want to be able to change the land and you know, kind of feel like the top layer of the surface of the land is like Play-Doh, for example, and it kind of changes for what I'm doing, maybe a build up in a gate or something like that. I do want that, but I'm not too fussed about like the land being something that I need to kind of customize at that level. You know, there's construction simulator for that and all that stuff. So the two separate games for me. But I really like what they've done here. They've obviously got higher terrain resolution of 1 meter, but the most important thing is that 12.5 centimeters of that top area that you see on the ground is now got a displacement mapping fixed to it. So best way to describe that is you can see now this kind of layer here. It's like the 12.5 centimeters of it can be changed and moved. So if we have a look at this ploughed texture in the field, displacement mapping for fields, as you can see, this is a field with the plough texture, and it's influenced by physics simulation. So if we have a look at the next one, you can see how it's kind of mapped out and everything within GE, and then you can now see that it dynamically adjusts from the tires and gameplay. Now, the best way to describe it, or I see this, is tires in the game right now. We've got tire tracks that stick to the ground and stick up pretty much everywhere you drive. The more hefty your system is, the better your system is. You know, you can have it, I think it's like up to 600 or something, and then eventually like it has to refresh due to memory kind of limits. So eventually they will disappear. So this is not a permanent change to the ground. What it is if I drive over this field in a tractor and I'm going to leave tire tracks, I'm going to leave that kind of 12.5 centimeters, I'm kind of changing the terrain, you know. But then as soon as I've done loads more kind of things like that, eventually it's just going to clear out behind me. If you imagine it like a game of Snake, the tail end of the snake's always going to kind of clear it off, and the front end, but depending on your systems, is the kind of size of the snake you're working with, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's the way I kind of see it. It's going to refresh at some point because obviously memory limitation within the game, but it's super cool. And another thing that's cool is the question got asked again in the creators area. You know, if I plow over this now in this direction, so going that way, would I just plow through it? And you would. So you'd still see the tire tracks here and here, but then the plow would obviously. So it really is quite dynamic in that regards. I think it's really good. It's a good starting point. It definitely is an improvement of anything we've seen already. I really like the look of it. I do. I actually can't wait to see how it's going to work, though. It didn't want to give too much away on this, I felt like. They're still working on stuff. So, yeah, we've got some pitch, but we didn't actually get any physical video kind of gameplay evidence of it. So it was interesting, that was, but I like the idea of it. You can see that how it's changing. But yeah, think of it like 12.5 centimeters on that top layer is dynamic. You can change it. It can be displaced. But that same goes to you if you're, say I've got a plow, for example. My tire tracks are going to leave a mark, but then the plow behind me is going to kind of clear it off, which makes sense. So yeah, you're going to kind of change the tone. Now, I don't know how that'll affect planting and all that stuff. Like, I imagine we just drive over it and plant and no issue. But if then I do it after I've planted, say I'm driving on planted ground, will it affect that crop? I don't know. Loads of questions really to be asked on this. So now we're going to be looking at trees. Again, we're still in the physics presentation. This video is going to be long, but I'd rather be really in depth on it, give you all the information. But, it's the best way to do it. I could have broke it up into 3 videos, but I'm just going to give you all in one so you can get it straight away. So we're going to go into trees now and tree rendering and how it's improved. You can see that it's got parallax correction, shadows in distance, and shadow proxy mesh. Now, a lot of this stuff does go over my head because I'm not a modder, don't get hands-on with GE too much in regards to creating my own stuff. This will mean a lot to modders. But what I do know, some good stuff for console players, is the demand on slot count for certain items should be reduced when it comes to modding, because they're doing new techniques that kind of reduces the amount of slot counts are needed for certain things. So basically, you'll have a bigger, basically everything costs less, basically, so, slot count wise. But trees look really good. They've obviously got a lot of randomness to them now as well, in different shapes and sizes. But if we go this one, approved sky and starlit sky, enhanced moon. So the moon looks better. The sky looks much better with the stars that you can see there. Super cool. Really do like that. So we were talking recently about the density of the crops and how they looked, but that's because they've gone to this double-sided rendering. So you can see it like a lot of the time if I put like a plane into GE and then like a logo or something on the side of a car, only usually you can only see one side. If you turn around to the other side, it's completely invisible. Now I see this, now I might be wrong. This is kind of like just me thinking common sense wise. I think from now on it's going to, you have the option to double side render. So nice little video here showing the density of the crops, which I do really like. Now, I don't know if the way it works previously, if they kind of render it from all different sides or whatever. I'm not a pro on this, but hopefully this will give us a bit of information on it. But yeah, double-sided rendering will reduce. You can see that, yeah, double-sided rendering, less verticals for thin objects. And I think if he's clicking on this right side here now, double-sided, and you can see it change. So he's just clicked it and you can see how much dense it is. So obviously that's going to have a better impact visually for us. So same for trees now. He's obviously messing about with this tree in GE. It looks really good already, but wait till he hits that double-sided render. Did you see that? And how much more full it looks. So straight away it improves everything because we can double-side render it. Now, modders, put in the comment section how good that is. Explain it to us, players that don't do the modding. Is that going to have a massive effect on you guys while you're, making the mods and making maps and stuff like that? I'd love to know your take on that. So we're getting close to the end of this presentation, but it says geometry size compression. Again, modders help us out here. Automatic internal compression reduces vertex data. Example data size. So Giants Engine version 10 reduces geometry sizes from 8 meg to 4.5 meg. Who knows? But the one thing that stands out to me there is reduced slot count, which is good. So there we go. That's that presentation done with. So we'll switch over to the next one now, and we'll see if we can fly through that. There's some good ones. We've got the gameplay ones, and then we've got the map one. Right, so we've got the second presentation then. This was the machines and gameplay presentation. Stefan came up to us, guys, and we got to ask a few questions there. I pretty much sat in the background and just listened. I was mesmerized by everything. But yeah, let's get this started. So the first one's about rice. We've seen a bit of this video in the pre-show, but I'm just going to let it play, and we'll just have a good natter. I'm sure you guys have seen it. You can see in the distance over there. He's got the planter and everything out. But we already know that we've got the greenhouses where you can make the saplings that can be taken and filled up. You can also buy them. That question was asked to Stefan, and it's actually his idea. This was to kind of develop this crop basically and make it more in depth. So you didn't just have to, have a seed, basically a sapling, whatever. You could actually grow it yourself if you wanted to, which I think and agree with him is a really nice little thing to add in. Do you know what? I actually think the rice is not gimmicky at all. I was worried. I have to say, it was worried at first it was going to be gimmicky, But the whole thing just works really well. It was confirmed as well that it is going to be like a fence system. So you place down like in a square fence system, and then all of a sudden it will terrain that area. So there's some limitations on that. What we were told is, if it's not flat or very flat at all, it will kind of deform and change the landscape so it's flat after. So the best place to put these down would be on a flattish area, because obviously it needs to create that body of water. Now, you'll see in a second as well, we can put a pump to it, and the pump slowly fills the water up. You can see the animation of that changing over time, and then when it's at a certain point, you plant your crop in basically, and the water will be consumed. It's not drained off, it's consumed by the crop itself. Not far from him go, just across the road. Yeah, this was all actually showed obviously at Farmcon. I was sitting in the third row for this, and I remember thinking to myself, why is everyone clapping? Because there was loads of times when we got a load of round of applause of clapping, because it was all in German. I was just, this one didn't even have English slideshows, and I remember just sitting there thinking, I hope that's a good thing. So yeah, you can see that this field is already set and prepped, and the pump over it now, you can see that he clicks a button, and then manage field rice, and the pump starts putting water in. You can see there's only a small amount to start with, but they say this is a work in progress. They're going to try and kind of like optimize it, because it's not perfect yet, which is I don't mind, because he's speeding up time now. He's at 120, and you can see it's starting to get really full, and eventually he'll just hit a point where he's quite happy with it. Which is about now. And then he can crack on with his beast of a machine. The animations on this, though, are very impressive. They really have done well at making it look, quite immersive when it's out in that rice paddy planted in. I actually will do this. I actually would like to have this as an aspect of farming in the game. And I just like, it's not, you can create it yourself. You could potentially have one of these on a map like Court Farm if you wanted to. So there was no splash then. I was looking out for a splash, but there is the physics of the water. I guess they had to have added that in because of the fact that, they've started working with the flooded fields and stuff. So you're going to have the physics in at that point, aren't you, for machines? But no, I'm just taking it all in again. It's nice to actually sit in front of my computer and watch this with my headphones on and just try and listen to all the sound effects and watch the planting as it goes. Pretty cool though. Definitely going to try this out, and I imagine a lot of other people are looking forward to trying this out too. We didn't get to see anything of the Asian map though, so yeah, hoping to see some good stuff with that. It being a completely brand new environment and area. You can see that the saplings, it's just grabbing it and taking them one by one as it's kind of, feeding from them trays, that like rows that we've put in of saplings. Actually goes quite a long way, doesn't it? And I'm thinking, the things at the front, I wonder how they get to that back side again. Like, is that a manual thing that you do, but it automatically does within the game? Interesting to see that. Nice turning on it, easy enough that is. He could be using GPS, but he's like, no, I'm going to do this straight away on my own. I'm just trying to see how precise it is to when he was turning then. Like, are they aligned perfectly? Do they kind of just sync up and kind of snap in place? But I don't think they do, I think it might be just a little bit. No, it looks like it is completely snapped. Maybe that was a little bit to the right. Yeah, I think they actually are quite precise then from where he's planting. That's good. So next slide is obviously the harvesting. So this is that field again, but the water has been drained out. Well, consumed by the crop itself. So this is the wet rice. and he's about to get in his harvester. Now we have seen, we have seen this already in the pre-show, but I'll just let the video play out now, and you can watch it firsthand. Right, so we're now going on to long grain rice. I want to point out as well with this, when I saw this in that cinematic intro trailer, whatever you want to call it, the first bit we got from FS25 when it was announced, I was looking at these birds that look like seagulls or something along them lines. And I always wanted that in the game where they're kind of following behind a plow or a seeder. Now, we haven't seen any seeding or any ploughing, so it still could be a thing. I think it's funny how they put the birds in. Interesting and very hopeful, but I've not had any information on that. And talking about FS25 as a whole, like they've still got so many months. It's like July now, and it doesn't come out until November. They haven't spoken about animals. There's loads of things they haven't said. There's obviously crops we know that we haven't got announced. We only know the spinach and the 2 rice, but there's definitely 2 more on top of that, in my opinion. Well, it's pretty much confirmed because there's 25 slots for crops, and we only know of 23 of them. So there's definitely 2 other crops. So interesting to know what they are. It could be something they're holding back for the Asian map showcase when they do showcase that. Animals as well. That's the one for me. And I will call it out. I will, as much as I love Giants, love the hospitality and everything they've given me, if there's no change to the animals, I'm going to say I'm disappointed. And it's something they should have worked on because it's well overdue and it needs to happen. So I will call that out. Just saying that now. It's something. I just want, I'm not expecting massive changes, just something, some more hands-on, a bit more in-depth for the animals. If they add like baby animals in, I'm very happy, even though we've got that as a mod already. They've got to keep improving it every time round, and I'd be disappointed to think they haven't changed anything. They've just like added in water buffalo or something. But now we're doing the long grain, so you can see that this, New Holland is picking up the harvester header and the FD250, massive header. And we're going to be doing this now. So this is the rice, basically. We've seen this already in the pre-show, but it's the rice that we can plant in with a seeder. It doesn't need to be in a flooded field. It's long grain rice. That is a massive harvester for that field. I think they definitely did this just to showcase the harvester because, it's... I think they might... it makes easy work of it. It does make easy work. Right, so we're now in the windrower / swather. So anyone that's interested in using the MacDon as a swather, obviously that is now enabled or offered in the game. I've never done a swathing before. Understand the idea of it. We basically harvest the crop and then it just drops to the ground and then you pick it up after. But yeah, it's now in game. I know there's a mod and a map as well that had it on. But we're now getting it with this. Now the header that you can see in this MacDon, there is actually a lizard version of it. I think there's also like a class and I'm not actually sure the other ones, maybe massive, something like that. But there is definitely some other options so you're not stuck with the MacDon version of it. But you can see he's driving it to his... I feel this is where the greenhouse was with the saplings. He's working himself down into this field area and they're going to harvest that one there. And you can tell that it is about 7 o'clock at night, 7 p.m. because you can see the difference where the fog's coming out. So I'll let this keep playing, and yeah, we can have a look at the swathing. So you could tell then that the crop, it's dropped quite wide and it hasn't been threshed basically. So when it goes into harvest, it threshes and separates the grain basically. So I think that was wheat, and you can see that the wheat's still on the top basically, so it needs to be threshed through, which is what this piece of kit does now that's attached to this to the New Holland harvester. So it'll go and pick up them big swaths, it'll get threshed through, and I believe they do this because you reduce the losses you get whilst harvesting from your standard way. So we didn't get to see that unfortunately, but that is the whole idea, and they did show you that part of it. Well, the equipment, it's just not hands-on gameplay kind of footage of it, but interesting. And if you're into swathing, at least it's actually been brought into base games, so even console players can do that now. So moving on to consumables, this one's really interesting. And look at that shot. 6 o'clock at night, busy day on the farm, but you're not going to stop because you've got some baling to do. And we've got a John Deere baler into the standard game. Now, John Deere fans will love that. It's attached to the 6R, but also we're talking about consumables here for a reason, because we've got 3 types of consumables now that can be just purchased on the fly if you don't want to go out and buy them, but you can buy them and basically fill them up. So, like a pallet. So you can see we've got bale wrap, so for wrapping round bales or square bales. We've got round bale nets, but we'd also have twine as well if we're doing square bales. So you can see that the bale is filling up, and it does confirm that we've got the same standard size, that 3,500 litres for the small 125s are still set at that. I do think that's quite small. Usually with the amount of grass we get, we end up throwing out a lot more bales than you'd normally see. But you can see that wrap rolls are empty, refill to continue the work. So we need to go and get some bale wrap for the actual wrapping of this grass so we can make some silage from it. So that's what he's going to go and do now. But nice John Deere baler. It did get a round of applause at the end as well whilst I was watching it, and I'm not entirely sure what he was talking about. I'd love to actually get that translated because, yeah, it obviously showed the whole process off, and then at the end he looks at the front of the baler, says something, and they give a round of applause. Now, I don't know if it's just because he finished what he was saying, or maybe there's some kind of detail to it that I've missed at the front. But yeah, obviously, hoping Giants kind of release the presentations in German, so anyone that speaks German and everything maybe could see that for me, come back to this video, keep it in your head, and then just let me know what that was about. There's also one other thing, which is a production that not 100% certain, but you can see from that there we've got this Rennie wrap that were brought into the game. You've also got the Lizard version and a John Deere version there, so it's not just going to be one brand, this Rennie wrap. Maybe for the wrap it'll be Rennie, and then maybe it'll be like a Lizard brand, I'd expect. But then you can see that the actual kind of like twine and net wrap will be kind of maybe different brands for the baler that you're using. So you get the John Deere net wrap basically, or round bale net it's called in this. I think that's what it was at the front. I think he was talking about that. You can see it on the trailer on the pallet, but he looks at the front and you can see it attached. So you can also see where the Rennie wrap is actually filled up to the sides, and there's going to be some really cool colours that you can get as well, so they're not just the standard, like that's a nice green colour which you can see at Farmcon as well. I've got a few pictures of that on my vlog part 2. One thing I was disappointed about is the bale still is that very rigid kind of like shape. I know we had a mod by I think it's Ola, can't remember his second name, apologies for that, but he did a brilliant mod which makes the round bales look rounder basically, and it smooths them off on the edge. And even the funny thing is at Farmcon, when they had these bales looked stacked up to the side, you can see that they're kind of smoothed off at the edges. But this is where it was. So he finished here, give a round of applause, and I think it was because you can see that John Deere net wrap is also inside the machine. You have to obviously fill it up from there as well. But really nice addition to the game to have consumables like that on balers base game as well. So you guys on console are going to get this as well. So I'm sure you're pretty hyped for that. Getting onto GPS and the AI workers. Now, probably one of the best things we saw was GPS and the AI worker, because it is a lot better, You're going to be happy with this, and it'll give you a really good example of it here. It is separated into two, so you've got GPS and AI worker. The AI worker is a lot more sophisticated now. It's almost like Courseplay, but just simplified, so you don't have to keep going on all their menus and setting it up. It just kind of works automatically on two headlands. But let's talk about GPS first, because the same kind of AI worker working, I don't know what you'd call it, but like the way it's kind of figured it out, this field, you can see it's got two headlands and then it's up and downs. Now, even with GPS, like you'll drive to the field and then you'll turn your GPS on, which is now why it's orange. It's just changed to green because what he wants to do is highlight and line up to this straight path here. It's gone orange again. Now he's gone to green. So you can see that he's basically snapped to this line that the AI worker would use, but we're using it as a manual driver. We're just trying to stick to the line so we don't miss bits. I will say the grass itself, not 100% certain on, but the cut grass below, how dense it's now become, definitely is an improvement. So we snap back again, and you're on the outside headland pass. So it's, from what I understand, the GPS is not like you can just snap from where you are if you just keep you in a straight line. It's like you can snap onto the line that the AI worker would do if he was doing the work. So it's separated, but it also kind of uses the same I don't know what to call it, the same kind of AI software working out whatever you want to call it, thingamajigamabob, basically. There's definitely a right terminology and all that stuff for it. There's definitely the right way to say that, but I'm not saying it properly. But you know what I mean? It's the same. The way it's worked out for the AI worker is the same for GPS. It's just you're obviously in the tractor and you're just snapping to them lines. So I still think we might get a mod by Wopster that uses this kind of technology, but make it so it's a bit more customized, where you can just kind of say I don't want to do that diagonal approach across that field. I want to do a different approach. Well, maybe we'd need a GPS mod for that, but it's still very good and obviously brilliant for console players that we've now got GPS in the game. But the AI worker is something special. Now look at this. I personally think that this is an AI worker is a big step up. It's just like watching Courseplay, but this is Giant's, AI worker. It's working it out. It does it automatically. This doesn't have to be designed for each field. It doesn't have to be like, if a map maker makes a map for us as a mod, it's not like they have to set this up. This is just on any field. And now if I go in there and change it in some way, maybe extend it out to one big field with this arable field below, it would still work the same. So it just calculates it for you like GPS does, as you can see here. And yeah, it's very good and a massive step up. You've got a sophisticated AI worker now that's simple, because you just get into the field, press start, like you normally would do now, hire a worker. But now he'll do it where every field has got 2 headland passes, and he'll do his up and down stretches. He'll figure it out. You can see that all the turning is done in the field boundary, so you're never going to get him colliding anywhere, which is really good. I have not seen one of them doing any turns outside the field boundary. So yeah, I can't think you could ask for anything more. We're going to have AI workers that, don't mess up anymore, or like, because I have not used AI workers at all really in FS22. I've always used Courseplay because it's just so much better. But now we've pretty much got it. The only difference is we can't go and customize it. So we can't, for example, say I want 1 headland or I want 5 headlands. But the question was asked, and Stefan did say that maybe in the future that could be something that we get as an option. Obviously, this is still a work in progress game, but it could be that they're trying to work on maybe selecting how many headland passes you can have, because, sometimes 2's not enough. Maybe you want 5, like I said, and it's nice to customize that. But one thing you can't do with this, which is why I still think we'll see a version of Courseplay, we can't have multiple workers. So if you've got the bigger, massive, arable fields out in America and you want 3 harvesters on the go, and combined with auto drive and all that stuff, I promise you, we're still going to get Courseplay and auto drive in FS25, because as good as this is, and it really is very good and a massive step up, we still can't use, the sophistication of Courseplay and auto drive combined together, like multiple workers, like 3 harvesters in a field, with carters actually doing it all automated and taking it and dropping it off, or even selling it. All that's done because of Courseplay, and I think the PC players will still have that option. I imagine Courseplay is still going to come back, and so is auto drive for that reason. But it's really nice to have this, because if I just wanted help in hand, I'm mowing 5 fields, for example, and I want to go and bale in the first 2, I could set the worker go and do them last few fields easily. Don't need to use Courseplay. I can just press 1 button and it's all being taken care of. So I don't have to go into the Courseplay menu and set it all up just for mowing, basically. So really like this. Big shout out to Giants for this. They've done some cracking work and improved this, and I'm sure console players are going to really appreciate this. So there's more AI working behind the scenes. You can see that every single field's got 2 headland passes here, but how it's calculated itself is brilliant. It really is. Again, you can see that this field course debug, you can see that it says allow turn, no, headlands 2, full overlap inside and all that stuff, no. So who knows, like maybe you could change some stuff in GE that maybe, make some of the maps like 3 headland passes, 4 headland passes, but I still think they should implement that in game so you can change it on the fly if you want to change. It's a really tiny small field with a tiny piece of equipment. We only need 1 headland because it turns really well. Same goes for the bigger fields that need more headlands. So that's the end of the machines and gameplay presentation. We will be getting more information soon, but I'm really happy with some of that stuff. Definitely want to keep an eye out for animals, though. I was disappointed not to see that, but from what I've heard, there's definitely going to be something. We just don't know what it is. So stay tuned, like they say, for more. Right, so we're on the last one now, the US map presentation. Like I said, I know this video is long, but I'd rather just give you everything in one video. You can keep coming back to it. If it's too long, just keep coming back, making sure you're up to date on everything. But at least you've got it all in one place. So this map is called Riverbend Springs. It's Farming Simulator 25. It's the US map, and I really like it. That is pretty much what I can say to you. So first thing we get is a map look at the PDA. And you can see that some of the crops on the side there, pretty much no new ones except the rices. We can see that you've got the wet rice and the long grain rice, but it's all in German, so we'd have to change it. But pretty much all I can see is we've got sorghum still, we've got grapes and olives, we've got cotton there, sugar cane, sugar beets, the rices, potatoes, soybeans, sunflowers, corn, oats, OSR or canola, and wheat and barley. I tried to look at this a bit more just to see if we could see on like how it's going to look when we bring up this menu. Definitely going to be on the left-hand side now, just like I'm thinking FS22, FS19 was above, so it still looks like it's going to be there. But I do like this little arrow thing here, because if I just point out to you there, because that to me shows that we can kind of bring it back in, which means maybe the map's going to be a little bit more bigger and visible to see. And then it just shows you some screenshots as he was talking in the presentation. He was basically saying, you know, we've got like all these new flowers and stuff into it. They've got a waterway, a river network with boats and bits and bobs floating on. It's very interactive, quite a lot going on, but also the productions are interactive now, or more immersive, because visually interactive is probably the best way to describe that. Barges and so on. Some really nice detail to it. I did get confirmation, though, whilst in there, that it is a fictional place, but it's influenced from the Mississippi area or the Mississippi River. So he did say that, you know, he wanted to do that, but it's still a 2x2 map. It's not, you know, any bigger than that. Confirmed that it is a 2x2 map, so the normal giant size maps. But they had to make it fictional because, you know, in America, you know, you've not got all these places in that small 2 kilometer kind of block. You're not going to have a silo, workshops, you know, dealership, all these fields and everything. So they have to kind of fictionally make these maps anyway, which is, you know, understandable. But they've got loads of detail to it. Some superb stuff. But do you know what? For a base game map, I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think it's highly detailed. The buildings are all unique. I think you can even see the brickwork there. Looks really good. It's nice. It is a nice map. So you can see we've got a ferry barge there that we can actually go across. Some of the footage we've already seen from the pre-show. But again, there's a few bits and bobs coming up now. But it is like a network, you could say the river is, where we're going to have boats on it. Maybe even some sail points that, you know, interact with it. But we can drive across it and, you know, get across the map. Because I think the river itself, you could see kind of flowed right through the centre of the map. Foliage looks a lot more dense as well, doesn't it? You've got some new flowers, just random foliage going around the place. You know, overall, it just looks a nice map. The only criticism I've got with this is the video that they've put into the presentation. It's not very good. It's like 720p or something like that, maybe 10p at best. 1080p, not 10p. It's 1080p, and I just wish they could maybe upscale it to 1440 or even just give us a 4K version just so we can see the detail of it. Because, yeah, you know, it looks better in that format. So. But I am enjoying the layout and the land and the way they've done it, because it's a nice map. It really is. So that's a grain. I think that's where the boat then comes under. You can see that it's going to interact there. Grain's going to tip in, so we can now use a bit of a boat as a sell point. Don't know if we can get into it. Not sure about that, because I know we could with the trains and stuff like that. Maybe that could be something. But the river network is going to play a big part now. But we've got some super cool things coming up. Construction buildings, even barns. But yeah, there's more to say on that in a second. But let's go through this. So we've got new trees, new bushes, new grass. So new grass stands out to me because, like I said, I want the improved grass texture. Now, that picture in the bottom corner there, I don't mind. It looks really nice grass. It is definitely detailed. It looks good. But I want to see, like, not just the grass that's kind of the natural grass, you could say, the wild grass. I want to see the meadow grass, the actual hybrid grass breeds that farmers and dairy farmers plant in to get the most out of the silage and stuff like that. I want to see a different kind of breed for that and it represented a bit better in the game. So new bushes, new grass, new ground textures, new flowers, new crops, spinach, which is this down here. So this is the first I've seen of spinach. It's Farmcon24, so that's pretty cool. So there's your spinach, new kind of random flowers and bits and bobs popping up. That's not one massive sunflower, by the way. That is on the side of that building. But look at that. Look how cool that looks. You know, the different type. We've already seen brickwork. Now we've got this kind of wood. You can see the textures on it look kind of, it looks aged basically and worn, which is what you want to see. But I just like the detail of this one shot here. Looks really good. So this is him walking through the woods, kind of looking for the trees. We've seen some of this at the pre-show already, so I'll just let it play through so you guys can see it again. So continuing on, we've got Animal Trader with animals now. So animated animals, new fences. So we've got new fences we can place down. You can see it looks a lot better. That grass does look good, though. You can see that transition there from the edge where it's gone shorter and stuff, kind of like worn. So yeah, I'm trying to focus a lot on the grass and try and take that in. But do like it. You can see the textures and everything, the roads and the dirt and everything. It's added to. That, to me, could be muck. It could be, there is a bit of, like, I don't know if that's the fog, I'm not sure, but I really would like to see bunkers, see if they've been changed or I don't, but I'm hoping we get like a proper animal presentation at some point that shows that kind of stuff. But this is the closest we've got to see animals, and I've not noticed any new breeds so far of actual cows, because best part of the game for me is dairy farming, for me, it always has been. But you can see the sheep are there, you got some horses. Does look good though. Some nice shots as well. So we got a bit of a video here of him driving through. I think he's driving through the animal, because you can see the pigs over there. I haven't got any sound on this one. Don't know if that's supposed to be, but I imagine it is. So we did see definitely some of this, because this ground texture coming up now, I actually thought at the time looked really good. This one here looks like worn concrete. It definitely is a lot better looking. And it does look like maybe that's some ground deformation happening there. It does look that way, because the tractor was bobbling about. Right, so I've ended that video just because we've already seen most of that already and there was no sound to it. I didn't want just silent part of the video. But yeah, farmers market. So this is interesting. This is a farmers market that's placed onto the base game map, this Riverbend Springs. And it's visually interactive, so we can take stuff to it. You can see it says, with interior, it's got interactive shelves and small selling stands. So as you take items to it, so it could be like tomatoes, like to the fresh produce, local farm market, could be, I don't know, like cheese, eggs, bits and bobs like that. But as you take it to it, you'll see that it starts interacting, becomes alive, and yeah, it reminds me of Hofburgman, basically, where you can visually see the shelves stocking up and becoming more full. And it's kind of a sign that, you're working well, you're supplying to the community in that area, and this is where you can go and sell your goods and earn some good money, hopefully, by doing it that way. But I like it. I like how it's interactive again. But it does remind me of Hofbergman, and I've always said Hofbergman's always a step ahead. Some of the stuff in Hofbergman are usually what comes in the next version of the game. It seems to be that case a lot of the time. That's just how talented Farmer Andy is. Some good shots. Nice little... I love that that post box with the tractor on. So we've got small production units, new productions, and buildable farmhouses. Now the productions are going to be pretty much the same aspect. Well, they are interactive in the way that we've already seen, so using like a menu and stuff like that, but it's more visually interactive now, so things will be going on behind the scenes in the areas that you're kind of working on. Some new productions, don't know what they are, haven't got a clue, because I couldn't understand in the presentation some of the stuff, like what he was calling them. This one here kind of just looks like some kind of carpentry area where we can actually see visually what's going on. Don't know what this is, but it looks like a machine hall of some sorts, maybe like metal work in that area. I don't know. Completely haven't got a clue there, but it's something new. And then you've got these kind of barns and houses that, from what I understand, it was quite vague at this point. Couldn't give too much away, and I don't think everything you'd expect is going to be in from the start. But we can potentially do a survival series going into FS25, for example, where we start off, we place down this kind of like flat patch, maybe just like a marker on the ground where the barn's going to be. So you go in the construction menu, cost you hardly anything, you put it down, you can see what it's going to look like at the end, but then it kind of just disappears, and you have to then supply that with all the materials it needs. It could be like planks, wood, bits and bobs that you're doing in productions to build the shed up, which I thought was super cool. So if anybody knows what that is, I would love to know, because I haven't got a clue what that is. But when that was shown, there was a massive round of applause in the forum with like 2,500 people, 3,000 people, how many it was, clapped to this thing. Now, I don't know what that is. I haven't got a clue. Is it something to do with like a oil? I don't know. I'm completely guessing. But you can see he's walking now, or running, to some of the productions that we're going to see and can be used along the way. So it looks like a massive grain silo, basically, that we can take out to the river. I think there's a point there that it takes out to the river. This is probably either a sell point or a production that we can use. But it looks like you can fill up the barges from that there. Yeah, you can. Look at that. So I really like that. Don't know if it's a production that we purchased, though, that we can do stuff with and be interactive with the barge and everything, or if it is just a sell point itself, this one. But I like the idea of having this network on the, so it's a river network, really. Right, so here's one of the productions. You can see this like little carpentry work shed. Yeah, it is a shed, really, work shed. And then inside, this is definitely what I call the sawmill. It's just a sawmill production that you can buy, but they're showing it off because they're basically saying it's more visually interactive. From what I gathered from the presentation, it was difficult, like I said, because it wasn't in English, and a lot of the questions were asked about this kind of, can you let us know what this actually is? And we didn't even ask these questions when we should have, probably, but it's difficult to remember. We only have a short period of time with them as well, so there's limitations on what we can ask. But I'd love to know if anyone's watching on the channel that's German, like what these actually were, because some of the stuff I saw was just so impressive because it looked really immersive, and I liked the details they're adding in. You can see this log kind of working its way through, and it's been dumped into this river, or this little patch of water, and there's a little boat in there that's, I don't even know what the boat's doing. Like, what's its job? Is it just barging them, pushing them forward and stuff? I like it, though. Look at the detail of it, what it's added to it. I actually really like that. Even if it is a toy boat. What is that thing? tiny. Surely that wouldn't even push them. But then again, it is floating. I don't know. Right, so next video, again, we're carrying on. What I do like about this carpentry area, there's just loads of random things that are made out of wood. Like, honestly, wait till you see them. It's just, reminds me like some really mad toy shop maker. Old school toys. There's just a lot of detail to it. I think that's the bit that stands out to me, that they've put all these little extra bits and bobs. And look at that, just like a really long piece of wood just standing there for the fun of it. Yeah, it's something, isn't it? It's like, I think it's like a place you take family, like a family place, and you can go, oh, look at that, little tractor made out of wood. So you can see that this is like the carpentry sawmill area, but the detail that's been added in just makes it more immersive. But is it going to be anything we can do with? Probably not. I think it is only for show. It'd be nice if we can, get on things and do some stuff. But I imagine we're probably going to need to have the sawmill for the, the construction sites and the construction buildings that we can do, and bits and bobs like that. But there's a lot of timber work in there. There's a lot of stuff going on. This to do with wood. And yeah, it just reminds me of a really mad old school toy shop maker. Or toy maker. Well, probably built his own toy shop as well. You got a bit of a barge going on there as well. You see what I mean? There's just the detail of it. It's crazy, really. Even made, is that a dog kennel? They made a dog kennel as well. I mean, this is the type of person you need to know in life, because it's like, mate, can you just build me a house, please? Got whatever that was. Was that a whale or something? Made out of wood? But yeah, I was watching this thinking, like, what is all this? Is it just like, is it just for show? And it's really nice. It's pretty and everything. It adds to the to the detail and the depth of the map. It definitely does. But I'm like, come on, show me some animals. I'm just being honest, guys. Just have to be honest. As much as I loved, the map presentation, and I do really like this map, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot, it's very much, it's detailed basically, and a big improvement in my opinion of how it looks. But these little things and bits and bobs like that, I'm thinking, come on, show me some animals. I can see this stuff when I start the map up and play it. But anyway, that's my one little just rant there. Why not? So, carrying on, brick buildings, construction sites, timber works, and vintage areas, which is, you can see the different styles that they're going on. You've got the brickwork there. It looks really good. And even the one below there, that brick / wooden building, that barn, I really like the detail to that. If you've got that on your farm, or even place it down as a placeable, I'd really like that. So there's a good variety there. So again, these are the pictures. So this one is about the abandoned construction. It looks like a mill of some sorts. And you can see it's completely derelict. So all he does basically is just walk around and show you the state that it's in. So I imagine at this point we can repair this and then have a fully functioning kind of like a grain mill of some sorts, or oil mill, who knows. But it is detailed, and you can walk through it and see, what state it's in. Now, I do like the fact they didn't show it us when it's fixed, because I think that needs to be saved for the player. We don't want to know what it goes to. That's something you should be rewarded with when you've put the hard work in to repair it. But I just like the fact they showed it us. I do think, it is pretty cool, the detail they've gone in, that we can walk around inside it. I just hope that when it's fixed, it's just as interactive then. Maybe, offer us some way to interact with this final building. Fair play. He's just sitting in there, as you do. And I think what they were trying to do is just show the extra level of detail they've gone into this time when making the map. Because usually, like, your construction buildings and stuff like that, we saw them on the Platinum Edition when they brought the Silver Run, I think it's called, map. When they brought the login map to the game, there was quite a lot of construction missions there. I think they're just carrying on with that and showing you the detail that they've gone into when it's derelict. But it does, it makes me feel like a bit of a ghost town right now, and it's very quiet and tranquil. So it's going to be nice to see what it's like when it's completed, and it is a mission in a way. It's it's a quest, you could say, within a game where you've got to go and repair this. But I'd like to see there's some benefit at the end. I don't want it to just be a sell point that then we sell to. It should be something we buy, do up, and then have a reward for that. Even if it's selling or using it as a production to sell something that returns quite a lot. That would be the hope. So at this point, we're pretty much just having a bit of a mini tour around the map and the buildings and the variety of stuff that's going on. So I'll just let it play so you can have a good look at it and see the detail yourself. And yeah, let me know in the comment section. Do you like the look of the map? Are you looking forward to it? I think for a Giants map, I think they've done really well. I think there's some good stuff and good detail and some things to look forward to. And I think I'd pick this one definitely over Zalonka. Yeah, looking at the detail of that stone building then, you can see what they're doing here. They're trying to showcase the definition of the textures on them, and they are impressive. They are a step up to what we've currently got, especially that brick building. It really does look quite nice. And the surrounding area, there's nothing the same, and I like the variety in it all. Definitely do. Yeah, really happy with it, to be honest, for a base game map for FS25. It's going to tie us over till we start getting some modded maps, because at that point it's nice to have the variety and the choice as well, because for me, if an Oxy map drops, I'm probably going to switch straight over to it. I know a lot of people would, but then if you like the US maps, you'll have your favourite US map makers as well. But what this does is show you that, with the Giants Engine 10 and GE and all that stuff, they can take it to the next level now, so we should be getting some incredible maps. But the one thing I will say from that is we all need to have patience as players, because modders and map makers, the more we kind of give them tools to play with, and the more they can make it look even more impressive, the longer it actually takes to make. So you'll notice that in FS19, for example, Oxy released more maps, probably released more in FS17, but then at 22 we released less because he's putting more time, more effort in to try and make it. He's improving in every step, but with that, it takes longer to make. Nice little shot then to finish this out. I think we've got 2 more slides after this, but it's cool that they've added this in. I can imagine a lot of people are going to be taking a few screenshots when the game drops from this spot. But this has been pretty much all the presentations. So we've got 3 presentations. We've had the engine one and the physics. We've had the map one, which we're looking at now, and we've had the machines and kind of gameplay stuff like that. So let me know what you think. I'd really be interested to know your take on it. This is pretty much everything they showed at day 1 at Farmcon. It is definitely everything they showed at day 1 at Farmcon. Day 2 was more about the modding side of thing. I haven't unfortunately got any of that kind of stuff on hand. But yeah, let me know what you think. Are you hyped? Do you like the stuff? I think Giants have definitely improved on the game massively. The pre-show looked good to me. I was, excited and hyped for it myself from that. But now, after going to Farmcon and seeing everything and getting hands-on like I am now and doing this video, I'm definitely even more hyped for it. I think there's a lot of good stuff that they've already announced. I think they're holding back some also good stuff because, you can just see now we've got a few months till release. So on the 12th of July, it'll be 4 months until we get the game to release. We're going to be getting the fact sheet Fridays and all that kind of stuff. We'll be seeing some new stuff come out about the game. We're probably getting some information on the Asian map and animals and bits and bobs like that. There's some stuff that they're holding back. I think we're all excited for it though. But that is everything. That's all the presentations. And as Giants have put kindly for me there in this presentation. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you found it informative, give it a thumbs up. I'd love to know your thoughts. Hit the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. Negative, positive, I don't mind. Just give me your honest opinion. That's what matters to me. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See you, everybody.